At the beginning of the story, we see an American football match where a man named Nicky is sitting comfortably with his girlfriend Jess in the VIP stands. The match is going on, but Nicky is more focused on the crowd than on the game. He notices a beautiful girl getting up from her seat and leaving. At that moment, a mischievous idea comes to his mind. He makes a small bet with Jess, saying, "Let's see how many people look back at that girl." One of the men sitting nearby, Lewan, says he also wants to join the bet. And Nicky agrees. Everyone jokingly places a $10 bet and starts counting. When the girl leaves the stand, the final count shows that 7 people looked back at her. In this bet, Jess had guessed the closest number, so she won. Lewan gives her the money without hesitation and then suggests starting the next round. This time, the bet is about who will commit the next foul. Jess drops out, saying she doesn't know much about the game, but Nicky jumps in and places a $1,000 bet. As soon as the whistle blows, the referee signals a foul and it turns out to be the team Nicky had bet on. He wins and puts the money in his pocket. Even after losing, Lewan gets more excited and says, "Let's place a $5,000 bet this time." Now, the question is whether the player will pass the ball or run with it. Nicky hesitates a little at betting $5,000, but finally agrees. Lewan guesses that the player will run, and Nicky says he will pass. As soon as the whistle blows, the player actually runs with the ball, which means Nicky loses $5,000. Now Nicky decides, it's okay. We lost $5,000. Let's stop here. And asks Jess to come have coffee. He wants to leave, but Lewan insists. He says, "You're sitting in the VIP lounge. You have money. Why be upset over $5,000? Let's play another bet, this time for $10,000. Eventually, Nicky agrees. Now the question is whether the player will make the next pass correctly or not. Nicky predicts yes, but the other team intercepts the pass. Nicky has now lost $15,000. While taking out the money, Nicky gets a little upset. He thinks for a moment and says, "Let's place a $50,000 bet this time." Jess is shocked to hear this, but Nicky looks angry. At this point, luck is not on his side. He loses the next bet again and has to give away another $50,000. Now Jess urges him to stop immediately, but Nicky's anger and ego take over. Without thinking, he places the next bet of $100,000. Lewan laughs and teases him, saying, "Do you even have that much money?" Nicky silently throws a whole bundle of cash on the table. Seeing this, Lewan also gets excited. This time, Nicky bets that the next pass will be intercepted and won't be completed, but the pass is successful. Now, Nicky has suffered a loss of $100,000. He can't figure out how to get out of this mess. Jess is also shocked by his behavior, but now the game has reached a very serious stage. Nicky says, "I have 1 million left. Let's bet it all. Let's see who wins this time." The final decision will be made by playing cards. Since Lewan has been winning continuously, he's now going crazy with excitement. He starts looking at Nicky like an ATM machine. Lewan draws his card. It's a 5 of clubs. Now Jess has to draw a card higher than 5. Her chances of winning are very high. Nicky picks up a card and flips it over with great confidence, but it's the 3 of hearts. Seeing this, Jess immediately fell off her chair. When Nicky started the game, he only intended to bet $10, but now he had lost more than $1 million. After such a shameful defeat, he had nothing left to say. So, he quietly held Jess's hand and started walking out. He was deeply upset, but Lewan began teasing him even more. He said, "This is what happens when you mess with the master." Nicky stopped and placed another bet, this time for $2 million. Now, the idea was a little different. Nicky challenged that Lewan could choose any random player using a telescope. And if Nicky guessed the player's jersey number correctly, the win would be his. Lewan got a little confused. He said, "This is like mind reading." It felt like Nicky was setting himself up for failure. Lewan also started suspecting that Nicky might be cheating. To remove his doubt, Nicky said, "Okay, I won't guess. This time, Jess will do it." Jess looked angrily at Nicky. She couldn't understand what was happening. She said, "Among so many people, what are the chances I'll guess the correct jersey number?" Saying this, she tried to leave, but Lewan's security guard stopped her, and a small fight broke out between them. Jess calmed herself down a little. Nicky told her to just look around the ground and say whichever number felt like her own. Lewan picked up the binoculars and chose a player. Then Jess took the binoculars and scanned the entire field. She could see jersey numbers everywhere. How could she guess? Then her eyes fell on a familiar face and she remembered Nicky's words that she should choose the number that felt like her own. Their friend Farhad was wearing jersey number 55. Jess understood that this was all part of Nicky's plan. She said number 55 and it was the correct answer. Lewan was stunned. Jess also started wondering how Nikki had known Lewin would choose that number. But at that moment, it didn't matter. They had already won the bet. Both of them made a $1 million profit and got back all the lost money. They left the stadium with 2 big bags full of cash. In the car, Nikki told Jess that everything had been part of their plan. They had been tracking Lewin for a long time. Lewin was well known in high society for his bad gambling habits. He would jump at any bet placed in front of him. Nikki's team had planned the entire setup. As soon as Lewin stepped out of his hotel room, the number 55 was planted in his subconscious mind. The number 55 was written on the label pin of the security guard. The same number appeared on signboards along the road to the stadium. They didn't just show him the number, they made him hear it, too. While coming to watch the match, a song had been played in Lewin's car that repeated the number 55 again and again. That number was said 124 times in the song, which kept pulling Lewin's attention toward it. He had even been shown a photo of Farhad, which helped build a visual memory. So when Lewin looked through the binoculars, his mind naturally went toward the number 55. And Jess said 55 as soon as she saw Farhad. Jess had not been told anything in advance, so her expressions would stay natural during the entire game. This way, no one would suspect her. After hearing everything, Jess was completely impressed with Nikki. After this, the story takes us a few days back. Just a few days earlier, Nikki was lying on a bed in a room with Jess beside him, and a man was pointing a gun at his head. Jess was sitting next to him. Someone he had met only recently. It was clear that someone had trapped Nikki, but there was no sign of fear on his face. He calmly said, "I don't have a single penny. If you want to shoot, then shoot." The man with the gun looked at Nikki's reaction and quickly realized this man was clever, even more cunning than them. And his guess was absolutely right. Nikki was a master con artist who pulled off petty thefts with great skill. Jess had brought Nikki to that room by tricking him. But Nikki saw a natural talent in her. At that time, Jess didn't understand anything. When the man with the gun left, Nikki told Jess, "You have a gift. If you polish this ability to trick people, you can live a very comfortable life." Nikki said, "This is our family business. My father, his father, they were all con men. We're cheats by blood. Every trick, every move is a game to us." Without wasting time, Jess took out some money and said, "I want to learn from you." Nikki agreed. While walking out, he stole one of Jess's rings, and she didn't even realize it. By the time she figured it out, her watch had also disappeared. When she had put the watch in her handbag, Nikki had already taken her wallet. After all these tricks, Nikki said, "Sleight of hand, timing, and a little style. That's all you need for this work." Then Nikki said goodbye to her and left. After a few months, Jess found Nikki in New Orleans where he had started building a new team. Their meeting was actually a test. He wanted to see if Jess was capable of joining his team or not. When Jess agreed, Nikki sent her to a fair with one of his team members. This was Jess's first practical assignment. She began asking people for directions, holding a map in her hand. While she distracted people, her partner secretly stole a tourist's camera lens. Then another team member intentionally bumped into a man and Jess took his wallet. Jess was now starting to feel more confident in her stealing style. Using chopsticks, she took another woman's wallet from her bag. Everything went so smoothly that no one even suspected them. Nikki was watching everything from the top of a building. He told the team to leave Jess alone. Now it was her turn to fly solo. Jess started stealing expensive items one after another. And with each theft, Nikki's respect for her kept growing. Now Nikki gave her another big assignment. This time a high-tech scam. With the help of special lenses, they could see other players' cards and beat them easily. There was also a system for stealing credit cards. The stolen card was secretly sent to a teammate where a device would copy its data and then the card would be returned to the owner's pocket. By the time anyone realized, their entire account would be emptied. Another scam was a fake ATM machine. Whenever someone withdrew money, the ATM would secretly store their PIN. Farhad would later remove the machine and steal all the data. All the stolen credit cards were sorted into different categories. Expensive luxury items were bought using them. And finally, their data was sold on the black market. One day, Jess saw a beautiful necklace and wore it. But Nikki immediately told her to take it off. He strictly explained that all the items had to be sold. Nothing was to be kept personally. Jess was seeing this large-scale fraud for the first time. The feeling of standing in the middle of a mountain of stolen goods was surreal. The next day, Jess and Farhad were wandering through a wealthy area. Their task was to act. Farhad suddenly fainted and Jess started shouting, "Please, someone help us. Please." It was a distraction which the rest of the team used to steal from the rich people around them. After the job was done, the whole team escaped by hiding in an ambulance. The whole plan was so perfectly executed that no one could figure out anything. That night, they all celebrated together. Nikki praised everyone because they had made $1.2 million in just 1 week. The next day, all the team members were preparing to go their separate ways. The documents were destroyed and Nikki assured everyone that their money would be transferred to their bank accounts within a few days. But the old members of the team knew that Nikki still had one last mission left. The next morning, Nikki took Jess to the VIP lounge of the stadium. He performed a full demonstration in front of Jess to show how they could earn $1 million in just a few minutes. By now, Jess had started falling in love with Nikki. She thought she was Nikki's girlfriend, and that's why he was showing her all this. But Nikki had only included her in the group for his own benefit. When everything was over, Nikki gave her $80,000 in cash and finally said goodbye. Jess looked at him with tears in her eyes. Her heart was broken because she had fallen in love with Nikki. At the same time, she also felt that $80,000 was too little because Nikki had just earned $1 million. But in Nikki's world, there was no place for emotions. Jess had now seen his true colors. Nearly 3 years later, a race car pulls into a service station and we see Nikki again. There was tiredness in his eyes and it was written all over his face that he was running out of money. During lunch, he met with George, the owner of a race car team. George's research team had developed a new algorithm called EXR, but he wanted to improve it to increase his chances of winning. So, he hired Nikki. The plan was simple. Nikki would pretend to be their chief engineer. Then, they would stage a fake fight between George and Nikki so that other teams would fall into their trap. After that, Nikki would sell a fake version of EXR to the rival team while George's team would use the real system and easily win. As part of the deal, Nikki was supposed to receive €1 million for the job, and the money he earned by selling the fake system would also be his. Nikki thought this job was a joke. He could have done such a scam, even in his sleep. But George's butler didn't trust him at all. He directly threatened Nikki and said, "If you do anything wrong, I'll shoot you right in the chest." Nikki wore a tuxedo and left to attend a party that evening. The plan between Nikki and George was to stage a fake fight in front of the crowd, but their plan completely fell apart when Jess appeared, walking down the stairs in a red dress. She went straight to hug George. Seeing this, Nikki's eyes filled with anger. His mind went blank. He hadn't seen Jess in 3 years, and now she was with someone else, and that too with the man who had hired Nikki. Jess calmly walked up to Nikki and told him that she was no longer a con artist, and whatever had happened 3 years ago didn't matter anymore. She also said that George didn't know anything about their past relationship and it would be best to keep it that way. Hearing this, Nikki got furious. He picked up a glass of vodka and drank it in one go. Earlier, he had planned to act like he was angry, but now he truly was. The fight with George in front of everyone was no longer a drama. It was real. Their fight caught the attention of the rival racing team, just as planned. Soon, security came and threw Nikki out of the party, but now he had the business card of the rival team in his hand. The next morning, Nikki met the owner of the McLaren team. He spoke directly, saying, "I want to sell you the EXR system. It will cost €3 million. The team owner had no shortage of money, so there was no need to bargain. He immediately tested the system on the track, and when he saw the results, his face lit up. Nikki promised that the complete software would be delivered in 48 hours. Meanwhile, Jess met Farhad on the road. Farhad had been sent by Nikki. He told Jess that it was necessary for Nikki to leave 3 years ago. He had no other choice. Farhad also said that Nikki still loved her. Then he handed Jess a box which had the same necklace that Jess had once liked. Whether it was real or fake didn't matter. Jess's heart melted after seeing it. She told Farhad that she couldn't trust Nikki, but her eyes said something else. She still had feelings for him. Well, on the day of the deal, Nikki showed up and handed over the software to the owner of the McLaren team. In return, a strong man gave him a case containing €3 million. But Nikki's nature was such that he never worked without taking risks. He had secretly sold a copy of the same software to every racing team. Every handshake brought him more euros. Whoever shook hands with him paid him millions. Until the race began, no one had any idea that every team had been sold the exact same EXR system. That night, instead of running away, Nikki messaged Jess, saying that if she came in time, they could escape together. Nikki waited, but no one came. Just when he gave up and turned to leave, Jess appeared, but it was too late to run. Because at that moment, the same strong man who had given him €3 million on behalf of the McLaren team showed up in front of Nikki. In reality, he was George's man. He had found out the truth, that Nikki had sold the original software instead of the fake one. He didn't care about the €1 million. Now he wore his full racing gear and intentionally crashed into Nikki's car. After a terrible accident, both Nikki and Jess were captured. They were tied up and all the stolen cash was laid out in front of George. George was furious. He had spent €40 million creating that software, and now everything was ruined. The worst part was he still couldn't figure out how Nikki had stolen the real software. When Nikki didn't say anything, George pressed Jess's nose shut, cutting off her air. Seeing this, Nikki broke down. He confessed everything. How he had made Jess fall for him again by rekindling her old love. He said he gave her the same necklace she had once liked, but this time it had a special chip inside. As soon as George opened the software, that chip stole his password and copied the data. Jess was heartbroken when she heard this. Tears streamed down her face, but George and his men started laughing. They liked the story but didn't believe a word of it. George then said Jess was never really my girlfriend. I know she was only with me for my money. Jess admitted that she was only pretending to love George to steal his expensive watch collection. Nikki was shocked. So Jess had faked her love for George just to make Nikki jealous. Now both of them were caught. George turned to the butler and asked how Nikki managed to steal the software. As soon as Nikki opened his mouth, the butler suddenly fired a bullet. It hit Nikki straight in the chest. George's face turned pale. He panicked and told the butler, "I can earn money again, but if I get caught for murder, I'm finished." George quickly fired the butler and fled from the warehouse. Jess was crying uncontrollably, but the butler calmly said, "There's no need to worry. I'm actually Nikki's man." In truth, the butler was Nikki's father. He had shot the bullet carefully just near the heart, not through it. He sealed the wound with tape, used a needle to draw out the extra blood and balance the air pressure in Nikki's chest. Suddenly, Nikki opened his eyes. He was alive. It was a crazy plan, but it worked. Behind them lay a huge pile of money. All three of them left the warehouse. Nikki was actually an orphan and had been raised by this man. He was the one who had taught Nikki all the tricks of the trade. Their rule was simple. Never get emotional. But now Nikki had truly fallen in love with Jess. The butler left both of them on the roadside and took all the money with him. Nikki was left with nothing. But on the way to the hospital, he saw something shining in Jess's hand. It was George's 200,000 watch. Nikki looked at her. Jess looked at him and both of them smiled. With tricks like this and sleight of hand, they'd never go hungry, no matter where they were in the world. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next.